What's up, y'all? Let's get straight into it. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to everybody for always supporting me on both channels. It doesn't matter if I'm over here at the Black P.O.E or if I'm rocking out at the other channel you see on the screen, One Team Garage. Y'all always rocking out with me. I can't ask for more than that. That's showing nothing but love. So I want to give some love back and give y'all some real jewels on a subject I've covered before, but I want to cover it again. The reason I want to cover it again is because at the Big Fest podcast, they had an amazing live that I listened to. I was on the road on my way to Atlanta, and Big Holmes over there, he was encouraging young black men to go into the Army. And I cannot agree with that 100% more. You know what I'm saying? I spent 9 years of my life in the Army. I have to stamp that. That's standing on business. And I'm going to give you the reasons I think it's a great idea for young black men to join the Army. First and foremost, let's look at the age bracket that the United States Army wants you to go. They want you to be between the ages of 18 and 35. After 35, really around 32, but 35 is the max. The reason being, that's considered your warrior class from age 18 to 35. That's actually your quote unquote youth. The military breaks it down to a science. Once you're over the age of 35, you're no longer considered the youth. Please come to reality. You're in your late 30s. You about to be in the 40s club with me sooner. I mean, time flies once you get in those late 30s. But that is the warrior class, 18 to 35. We are losing our warrior class at alarming rates in the streets right now. Even in a hot war, during wartime, the Iraq war, the war in Afghanistan, you were still probably more likely to lose your life in the streets of Chicago compared to the streets of Iraq. It's facts. Look up the stats. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. As a young black man in your warrior class, period, you do not want to waste that. You want to take full advantage of that. Joining the U.S. Army changed my life. It made me a man not only when I was in the military, but I took those values and traits with me out of the military. It's better to go to the Army than to perish in the streets. In the streets, you're guaranteed two things. We all know this. To be unalive or go to prison. What kind of odds are those? There's no real money in the streets either. Not enough for you to take your family and create generational wealth. Those are not the same odds when you go into the Army. What's really cool about the Army, you can choose any job you want as long as you score high enough on your entrance exam that everyone has to take joining the military, which is called the ASVAB. If you get a high enough score on that ASVAB, you can pretty much write your own ticket on what job you want to do. There are several in there. There are two really divisions when it comes to military service in the Army. You can be part of what they call combat support or actual combat arms. Combat arms is infantry, artillery, armor, special forces, anything to do with actual combat, laying rounds down range, taking down your enemy. If you into that, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Ultimately, everybody that joins the Army is a combat soldier. You are an infantryman. That is your first job. Make no mistakes about that. Because the other side of the house is what they call combat support. You support the guys that are going down and firing down range. But you must be aware, even as combat support, you will be asked to fire down range as well as combat support. But when I say combat support, those are jobs such as what they call quartermaster, You can refer to it as logistics. You have cooks, you have doctors, you have lawyers, but that's going to be on another level. But just for you to go ahead and join the Army and then being shipped off, these are jobs that I'm talking about. Anything you can think of: human resources, administration, finance, truck driving, anything you can think of. You can even join the band in the Army. Anything you can think of. What the Army's gonna do for your life, young men and women are listening to this too, it's gonna give you structure. You're gonna be guaranteed to win when you get out, because one thing the Army is gonna embed in you is that failure is not an option. Let me repeat that for the ones in the back. When you join the Army, either you do 20 years or you get out, the one thing that's gonna be embedded in your head is that failure is not an option. It's for everyone? No. But if you are a black male, especially if you're single with no children, and you're trying to find yourself and don't know where to go, and you need some structure, you need some directions, you want a plan, I cannot give you more better advice than to join the United States Army. My plan was, I went in, I was gonna plan on staying 4 years just to get the Montgomery GI Bill so I can pay for college. But when I got in there, I started excelling. I stayed longer. Actually, I stayed 9 years, achieved the rank of staff sergeant. I got an associate degree before I got out. When I did decide to get out, I went straight to college, finished my degree at the University of Louisville. Then I got a great job, started a business, got my master's degree, and over 20 years later, this is what you have. You have a brother that's trying to live by example, trying to give you not only structure and instructions with the words I taught and the words that I write, but I'm giving you something that can save your life. You're facing two options on the streets: being unalived or going to prison. In the United States of America, that should be unacceptable to you, especially what our people have been through. But if you come up with a real plan when you join the military, you're not faced with those type of options, especially if you join the Army. You come up with a plan, you execute that plan. Let's say you're just gonna stay 4 years. When you hit the ground after 4 years, you'll never look back. And a lot of y'all gonna get in there and do 20 years because you really gonna get plugged into the formula of success. But I'd rather see you go spend 4 years in the United States Army, get your life straight, get out, have access to all type of benefits. All type of benefits. The Montgomery GI Bill, your school is paid for, the VA loan, your house is covered, you're guaranteed to get a loan, 0 money down. I'm on like my 3rd house using VA loan. I've never put a dime down. When you go in there, you have life insurance. $500,000 the life insurance is up to now if something happens to you. If something happens to you now, how much life insurance do you have? Do you have $500,000 that your family can create generational wealth? If you're gone, no. And honestly, if you're comparing it to the streets, it's a no-brainer. If you want further information on this, just hit me up, man. I mean, this is for serious inquiries only. If you're serious about changing your life and you want some serious advice on joining the United States Army, because I can't give you any advice on the other branches. I served 9 years in the United States Army. Honorably discharged, staff sergeant. I can only give you advice on joining the Army. I've done this before. I've been doing this for years now, helping young men and women get on the right track and join the United States Army. Hit me up by email at oneteam615@gmail.com. Let me repeat that. You can hit me up at oneteam615@gmail.com if you're serious about joining the Army. And I'm gonna know you're serious when you put in the subject questions about the Army. That's the only thing you need to put in there. Questions about the Army. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. One team.